Hello class, this is our last module, that is module 7, language and style. What is literature? Literature is a broad term that encompasses almost everything we read, we see, and we hear. In other words, literature simply means any material that we read around us, or we see around us, or we hear from the people around us. The term literature is from the Latin word litera, meaning letter of the alphabet. Literature refers mainly to fictional and imaginative writings, which is divided into 3 genres or categories, that is poetry, prose, and drama. There is a distinction between literature that starts with a uppercase L and literature that starts or written with a lowercase l. Literature that is written with a lowercase or with a small letter l refers to the entire body of writing from all disciplines such as biology, geography, philosophy, psychology, engineering, and so on. On the other hand, literature written with capital letter L, as the one written in this slide, refers to the body of creating writing. Literature is the form of each category that distinguishes it from the others. What this is saying is that in the genres of literature, each genre has certain features that differentiate it from the other genre. For instance, all the first 3 genres could share the same theme or subject matter. Theme simply means the subject matter of a story, poem, or a drama, such as corruption may be the subject matter, could be a corruption, love, education, and so on. But each one looks different from other genre. Even though all the 3 genres might have the same subject matter, but each one is different from other. What this means is that a page of poetry is distinct from a page of play or drama. Since poetry does not indicate speaker, and nor does it provide stage direction in parentheses the way the play text does. What this is saying is that in a poem, that is poetry, there is no speaker. The speaker is not seen, it is only the words there. While in prose or in play text, you can see that there are speakers in the text. And also in a text, a play text, you can see there is a stage direction. That is where the play takes place, in closing bracket and in italics. And the prose is different because all the lines run through the edge of the page and don't stop arbitrarily the way that the lines in a poem ends. That is, in a prose, the lines reach the edge or the end of the page, while in a poem you can see that the lines are just maybe half or quarter part of the page. Nowadays, however, the term literature has been expanded to encompass even writings that are factual or truth-telling. There is now a 4th genre or category of literature called life writing. This refers to the non-fictional writings such as autobiographies, biographies, diary, journals, and so on. That is, apart from the 3 genres mentioned, there is the 4th one, which is called life writing. A life writing, it is a kind of or category of literature that is non-fictional. That is, all what is in non-fictional writing is what happened. It is not creative writing. What is fiction? The term fiction denotes any literary narrative, whether in prose or verse, which is invented instead of being an account of events that actually happened. That is, fiction is something that is created. It is something that is invented by an author. It's something that don't actually happen. Sometimes fiction is used as a synonym for novel. That is, a time when you mention a fiction, what comes to the listener mind is a novel, because the novels we read are not actually what happened in the novel. It is just an creative writing. Note, however, that fiction is not the same thing as a lie or falsehood or untruth. This is because in fiction there is no attempt by the author to deceive the reader or audience, as in the case with the lie or falsehood. What this paragraph is saying is that when I say fiction is a creative writing, it does not mean that it is something which is untruth, because when someone is lying to you, he is doing so to deceive you. But in novels, short stories, poems and dramas, the writers are not meant to deceive the readers, but to inform them, to educate them, or to entertain them. Fiction is simply a product of the imagination. Writing or producing a work of fiction is a creative enterprise whereby the author invents a story world or depicts a series of events that never happened, but not with the intention to deceive. Genres of literature. These are the three genres of literature, that is poetry, prose, and drama or play. Poetry is often considered the oldest form of literature. This is because it has existed since before writing was invented. When our ancestors told oral stories in some sort of poetic form to make them easier to remember and recite. Today, poetry is usually written down, but is still sometimes performed. That is, poetry is one of the oldest means of remembering certain things. And in the olden days, they are not written because poetry was there before the invention of writing. But in nowadays, there are written poetry or poems. That is, there are poetries that are written down, and there are some that are performed. A text is said to be a poem when it has meter or rhythm, and when it focuses on the way the syllables, words, and phrases sound when put together. That is a text said to be a poem when it has rhythm. When we say rhythm, is the sounds that have words that have similar sound in a poem. Poems are often made up of fragments and phrases rather than complete grammatical correct sentences. That is, in poem, most of the lines there are not grammatically complete sentences. Some are words, some are just phrases. Also, poetry is nearly always written in stanzas and lines, creating a unique look on the page. That is, in poetry, that's what is called stanzas and lines, and that makes it unique or different from prose and drama. However, not all poems have a strict line arrangement or regular rhyme pattern. Such poems are called free form or free verse. That is the verse or the poems that are not arranged in certain pattern, they are called free verse. Some features of poetry. A poetry has some features. Number one is rhyme. A rhyme is achieved when two or more words sound similar. That is, in a situation whereby two words in that poem have similar sound is what is called rhyme. For example, fly, high, you can see the sound is the same. Also in this example, you can see that, do you see the little fly up the wall so high? Also in Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, that in that poem you can see that there are about 4 words in different lines but have the same sound. For example, twinkle twinkle little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. You can see the end of the words at the end of each line sound the same. That is what is called a rhyme. Rhyme is what gives a poetry its musicality. The next feature of poetry is verse. A verse refers to the lines of a poem. That is, the lines in a poem is what is called a verse. For example, twinkle twinkle little star is one line and it is what is a verse. Most of the time, a verse is not a fully or complete sentence. It is just a line of poetry. That is, in most cases, a verse is not a complete sentence. Also, if I can read out this poem again, twinkle twinkle little star, you can see it is not a complete sentence, but it stops there. How I wonder what you are. So these are what are the example of a verse. For example, in Ni Osundare's poem, poetry is the name of the poem. Poetry is man, meaning to man. So in this poem you can see that a verse could even be just one word. Like in this you can see poem is a verse, is a verse, man is a verse, and meaning to is a verse, and man is a verse. So a verse could be a word, a phrase also. The third feature of poetry is stanza. A stanza is a word derived from the Italian language, which means stopping place. A stanza is a grouping of the verse lines in a poem. I explained to you what a verse means. The grouping of those verse lines in a poem, as in the example of Ni Osundare poem, is what is called stanza. So Ni Osundare's poem has one stanza. Stanzas are often separated by a space in the printed text. So the easiest way to identify a stanza in a written or printed text is the spacing between the first stanza and second stanza. The stanza is the equivalent of the paragraph in prose writing. That is, in prose writing we have paragraphs, while in poem there is what is called stanzas. In other words, a page or story or essay is made up of paragraphs, while in a poem is made up of stanzas. A paragraph is made up of complete sentences, while a stanza is made up of lines or verses. What this is trying to explain is, in a paragraph, each paragraph has groups of sentences, while in a poetry or a poem has a group of lines or verses to form a stanza. Prose. What is prose? Prose can be defined as any kind of written text that is not poetry. As I explained to you that we have three genres: poetry, prose, and drama or play. So prose can be defined as any kind of written text that is not a poem, because there is a difference between the way a poem is written and the way prose is written. The most typical varieties of prose are novels and short stories. That is, as I give example, that novel, short stories are typical examples of a prose, while other types include letters, diary, journals, and non-fiction. So we can see that in any type of writing of these examples given, may be letters, journals, novels, we can see there are paragraphs, while in poetry there is what is called stanza. So in prose, prose is not poetry because they are two different things. Prose is written in complete sentences and organized in paragraphs. That is, we can see in prose, prose is dealing with complete sentences and organized or arranged paragraphs. Instead of focusing on sound, which is what poetry does, prose tends to focus on plot and characters. That is, in prose, that is what is called a plot, and the characters are the people in the novel or short story, and so on. Some of the features of prose: we have plot. Plot means the arrangement of the event of a story. That is, the way the story is arranged, event by event, event by event, is what is called a plot. The most common type of plot is linear plot, which has this structure. That is, the most common is linear prose, and it has a structure like this, that it has a beginning, middle, and then end, or departure, adventure, and return. However, not all plots are linear or chronological. The story above has a linear plot since the events of the story are narrated sequentially. The other feature of prose is character or characterization. Characters are the people, animals, or things whose action drive the plot of a story. That is, any thing or in a story is what is called a character. Like, for example, in the story of Gizo the Koki, Gizo and Koki are the characters of that folktale. Characters can be either round or flat, or they could be major or minor. Major characters are characters that play significant or important roles in a story. Without them, there will be no story. That is, in a story, there is what is called a major character or a minor character. Major characters are characters that that play the most important role in a story. For example, in labarin Gizo da Koki, we have Gizo and Koki, maybe with other characters like lion or tortoise, but in most cases, in the story of Gizo and Koki are the major characters because they play the most important roles in the story. Minor characters are not as important as major characters, and therefore Therefore, even without them, the story could still remain. That is, minor characters are characters that don't have any important role to play. Even if you don't mention them, the story will still remain. Most major characters are round. Round characters show change, development, or growth. When we say round characters are the characters that show change or development in a story. And flat characters, on the other hand, are static. Static in the sense that they are where they are. That is, they are not developing or changing. Setting is the next feature of prose. Setting refers to the place or places where the story takes place. Let's say a story takes place in Kano or Kaduna. Kano and Kaduna are the settings of that particular story. Setting can be a room, a house, a country, a forest, or even another planet. That is, if a story takes place in a forest, that forest is the setting of that story. Settings can be actual places where we know, or they could be places that are imagined by the author or writer of the story. That is, a setting can either be a place like Kano, Nigeria, Sambisa, and so on, places that we know, and there might be places. It might be a place or places that we then know. For example, an author or a writer can just mention any name that is not or that doesn't exist. A play or drama is the third genre of literature. As I told you earlier or explained earlier, that there we have prose, poetry, and drama. So drama is the third genre of literature. A drama is any text meant to be performed rather than read. That is, when there is a text that is performed, that whereby the characters are performing, is called a drama or play. Dramas are usually called plays. The greater part of a drama is dialogue. That is, in any drama, there is a kind of dialogue between the characters, while in prose, the reader will just be reading without any dialogue between the characters. Dramas are meant to be acted out in front of an audience. That is, in drama, you can see there is a stage whereby the audience of that particular drama perform in front of audience. Like the drama, Hausa drama, we are watching Nigerian films. All they are all drama or dramas, because we can see there is a kind of dialogue between the characters and the actors in that drama are acting in front of audience. A writer of a drama is called a playwright, while a writer of a poem is called a poet. Well, a writer of a prose is called an author. A drama, like other genres of literature, has some features. Some of the features are dialogue. Dialogue refers to the talk or conversation between two or more actors or characters in the play. That is what is called dialogue. While monologue is used to refer to a situation where a character speaks alone to no one in a particular, or speaks to himself. That is an interior monologue. That is, at times in a drama you can see a character speaking to him or herself. In that situation, it is called monologue, from the word mono, one, and dialogue. That is whereby the conversation is taking place between two actors. In dialogue, two or more actors while in monologue the speaker or the actor is speaking to him or herself. Stage direction. Stage direction refers to the instructions given by the playwright on how the stage is to be arranged or how certain actions are to be done. It is usually written in italics, that is, in dramas that are written, not dramatized. You can find that in italics, the playwright is telling is just explaining how the stage should be in italics form. Types of drama. The major types of drama are tragedy. Tragedy is a type of drama or play that has a sad ending. That is, any story or any drama that has a sad ending is called tragedy. The next one is comedy. Comedy is a type of drama that has a happy ending and often makes the audience laugh. That is, a drama that has an happy ending and makes the audience, that is those that are watching, happy, is what is called drama. It makes them happy and makes them laugh. There is also tragic comedy. Tragic comedy is a type of drama, contains features of both tragedy and then comedy, because there are certain dramas that whereby there is a element of sadness and also elements of what makes the audience or the audience laugh. That is what is called tragic comedy. Non-fiction. We explained what fiction is, so what is non-fiction? Non-fiction is also called life writing because it generally refers to texts that tell the story of real people's lives. The most common type of non-fiction that is, in non-fiction, the stories are what actually happened. They are not a kind of imagination or imaginary stories. They are dealing with what actually happened. Examples are autobiography. An autobiography is the story of a person's life told by himself or herself. That is, in a situation whereby I tell the story of myself or I write a story of myself, it is called autobiography. The next one is biography. Biography is the story of a person's life told by someone. But in a situation whereby someone tells a story about me, then it is called a biography. The next one is diary or journal. This is a record of the day-to-day event or happening of a person's life, which are recorded by the person as they happen. While travelogue, this is an account of a journey or travel recorded by traveler, showcasing the strange people, places, things, and customs that are counted in the course of the journey. So these are the types of fiction, and they are all what happened. They are not created stories. Other types of literature include oral literature, such as folklore, fables, legends, myths, folktales, and graphic novels and comic books. All these are types of literature. In summary, literature is divided into three major genres, that is poetry, prose, and drama or play. Prose works can be further divided into fiction and non-fiction, and I explained what fiction is and what non-fiction means, and each of these has its own features and characteristics. The beauty of literature is that it is all around us, Whenever we tell stories or recount our experience, we are engaging in literature. It is in literature that human beings record and keep the best that has been known and felt in the world. Literature preserves our thoughts, experiences, emotions, and knowledge. It is through the constant engagement with literature that we improve our vocabulary, gain general knowledge, and sharpen our mental faculties. We cannot get by, it seems, without literature in our life. That is, we can't do without literature. Here we have review questions. What is the meaning of the term literature? How many genres of literature are there? What are the distinguishing features of each genre of literature? What is the major difference between fiction and non-fiction? Thank you for listening. This is the end of this module.